Some significant events that we may hope to see in 2011. I think one thing that we're going to see, or I hope to see, is I think the Retail Advisory Committee that was formed back in December will make a recommendation to do some retail recruitment and retention work in the 2011 year. That'll be a part of the next budget cycle. And of course, a lot of it depends upon where we come out financially. If there's money there to do it, I hope that we'll be able to take advantage of that. Retail Advisory Committee has met now twice, and we've got a good start. We've actually talked to a couple of different consultants in regard to what to do and how to do retail recruitment. Interesting thing that the consultants are all telling us is to say that, you know, really retail recruitment is still relatively new. Almost no cities were doing it 12 years ago, but in the last 10 years ago, a lot of them have started doing it. And one of the consultants that we talked to said that they started doing retail recruitment work in the 2000, and by last year they had almost 600 clients, Texas cities. So you're seeing that that is definitely a trend, that more and more communities are starting to do that type of work. Why do we want to do it? Well, if you can land one major retailer, okay? One major retailer, I find major retailers, 18 million in sales. There are retailers in our community that have that level of sales. It will generate $360,000 in sales tax revenue, okay? Even a kind of a small retailer, a $3 million a year retailer will generate $60,000 in sales tax revenue. Put that into perspective, our city budget for street repair and what we do is $300,000. Okay? So one major retailer, we can theoretically double our street repair budget because it will generate the same amount of money. Okay? Another thing, I'll just make this point because Ray talked about it in his remarks about shopping at home and what impact that has. Do the numbers. I've used the figures from our utilities to come up with kind of how many family units do we have in Brownwood. And by using that number, I can come up to what would be our lost revenue. Well, if every family in Brownwood spent $2,500 outside of our community in a year, and I think that's probably a pretty conservative number, $2,500 outside the community, it would cost us $350,000 in lost sales tax revenue. So again, you know, doubling the street budget, if we can just get the retail in our community so those sales tax dollars can stay at home. Okay? We're going to see the completion of a 20-year comprehensive plan. The city of Brownwood is still working on, right now, the 1990 comprehensive plan, which of course was completed in 2010. And we will see the adoption of a new 20-year plan that will give us the ability to do some long-term economic goal planning and some long-term vision. Finally, there's been a lot of talk about the FEMA maps. The only point I would really make on that is that I think we were successful in our FEMA study by keeping our base elevation as low as possible, and as a result really protected, particularly the downtown area and the development area from being hit so hard that you couldn't develop down there. All right? Next slide, and this is the last one. The other thing that's going to be big for 2011 is just lobbying and staying on top of our legislature. We've already had two different reports that have come out in the news that have been adverse to Brownwood. We've had an announcement that there's a possible closure of the Ron Jackson 2 unit with the TYC. Just so if y'all all haven't heard this, it is not the big unit, it's not the girls unit that sits up on the hill. It is the smaller unit that's across the street. I still don't have accurate numbers of how many employees that affects. And it's certainly not a done deal. All that planning is still in the very preliminary stages. We also had the announcement yesterday or the day before that Ranger had been defunded in the initial budget cut, which of course is going to hurt our community and our county. So if you look at it, and Laura made the point as well, our Highway Department, our Texas Department of Corrections, at the Havens Unit, our Parks and Wildlife, we have a number of state jobbers. And really, we're very, very fortunate to have those. There are not very many communities our size that have the number of state offices that we have. But the problem is, in a budget cycle like this, we're going to have to fight hard to keep them because everybody's going to be covered. So those are the important things that I see coming up.